Queen Zalera stood at the observation deck of her massive starship, watching the blue and green planet below. Earth looked peaceful from space, but she knew better. Her people had been studying this world for months, preparing for what many called an inevitable invasion. The humans had resources her dying planet needed desperately. But Zalera had not come for conquest. She had come for something far more precious than minerals or water. She had come for her daughters. 3 years ago, her twin daughters Kira and Nala had disappeared during a routine scouting mission near the outer rim of their galaxy. The search had consumed her thoughts, her resources, and nearly her sanity. Every lead had gone cold. Every hope had been crushed. The royal advisors had urged her to declare them dead and move on. The kingdom needed a stable ruler, they said, not a grieving mother. Zalera had refused to give up. She had followed whispered rumors and intercepted communications across a dozen star systems. The trail had led her here, to this small blue world that most of her people considered primitive and worthless. "Your Majesty," came a voice behind her. Commander Thane, her most trusted military officer, approached with careful steps. His expression was grim. "The scanning teams have completed their preliminary sweep of the planet." Zalera turned from the viewport, her heart hammering against her ribs. What did they find? "The signals are definitely coming from the planet's surface. The biosignatures match the genetic markers we've been tracking." Thane paused, his weathered face showing concern. "But, Your Majesty, the readings are unusual." "Unusual how?" "The signatures are weak. Much weaker than they should be for healthy Zephyrians of their age. And they're clustered in a single location, in what appears to be a human dwelling." Zalera felt her legs grow weak. After 3 years of searching, 3 years of hope and despair, she was finally close to her children. But the news of weak biosignatures filled her with dread. Were they injured? Sick? Imprisoned? "Prepare a stealth shuttle," she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I want a small team, no more than 5. We go down immediately. Your Majesty, with respect, protocol demands that we send an advance team first. The humans are unpredictable, and we don't know what we're walking into." Zalera fixed Thane with a stare that had silenced entire council chambers. "Commander, those are my daughters down there. I've waited 3 years to find them. I will not wait another moment." Within an hour, Zalera found herself aboard a sleek shuttlecraft, cutting through Earth's atmosphere with technology that rendered them invisible to human detection systems. Beside her sat Commander Thane, Dr. Mira, their chief medical officer, and 2 elite guards. All were armed, but Zalera had given strict orders: no violence unless absolutely necessary. The shuttle touched down in a wooded area several miles from the target location. Through the viewscreen, Zalera could see a simple human dwelling nestled among tall trees. It looked nothing like the prisons or laboratories she had feared. It looked almost peaceful. "The biosignatures are definitely coming from inside that structure," reported Lieutenant Vex from the pilot's seat. "I'm detecting 2 Zephyrian life forms and at least 3 human life forms. Are my daughters in immediate danger?" Zalera asked Dr. Mira, who was monitoring the medical scanners. "It's difficult to tell from here. Their life signs are stable, but weak. I'm not detecting any signs of restraint or torture devices." "Actually," Dr. Mira frowned at her readings. "This is strange. Their biorhythms suggest they're in a state of deep rest or sleep." Zalera's mind raced. Sleep? After 3 years of captivity, her daughters were sleeping? It made no sense. The team moved through the forest with silent precision, their advanced suits making them nearly invisible to both human eyes and technology. As they approached the dwelling, Zalera could see warm light glowing from the windows. She could hear sounds from within, the soft murmur of human voices, the clink of dishes, what sounded like laughter. Laughter? If her daughters were prisoners, why was there laughter? Commander Thane held up his hand, signaling the team to stop. He activated his translation device and gestured for Zalera to listen. Through the walls, they could hear human voices speaking in the local language. "I think they're getting stronger," a female human voice was saying. "Kira's been awake for longer periods, and Nala actually smiled yesterday when I sang to her." "That's wonderful news," came a deeper male voice. Dr. Peterson said it might take months for them to fully recover from whatever they went through. The fact that they're showing improvement is a miracle. Zalara's breath caught in her throat. The humans were talking about her daughters by name. They knew Kira and Nala. But recover from what? What had happened to them? I still can't believe someone would abandon children like that. The female voice continued. When we found them in the woods, they were barely alive. So thin, so scared. They couldn't even speak. Well, they have a home now, the male voice replied firmly. For as long as they need it. Zalara felt tears forming in her eyes. These humans had found her daughters and cared for them. They hadn't captured or imprisoned them. They had rescued them. Dr. Mira was frantically adjusting her scanners. Your Majesty, she whispered, I'm getting more detailed readings now. The girls show signs of severe malnutrition and exhaustion, but they're healing. Someone has been providing them with excellent medical care. Commander Thane moved closer to the dwelling, using his suit's advanced sensors to peer through the walls. What he saw made him gesture urgently for Zalara to join him. Through the thermal imaging display, Zalara could see the interior of the human home. In what appeared to be a living area, two small figures were curled up together on a soft surface. Even through the distorted thermal image, she recognized them immediately. Kira and Nala, her precious daughters, sleeping peacefully. Around them, three human figures moved quietly, careful not to disturb the sleeping children. One human, a female, gently adjusted coverings around the girls. Another, a male, set down what appeared to be food and water nearby. The third, a smaller human who might have been a child, simply sat close by, as if standing guard. They're being protected, Thane observed quietly. These humans are caring for your daughters as if they were their own children. Zalara watched through the scanner as the human female bent down and gently touched Kira's forehead, checking for fever. The gesture was so tender, so maternal, that Zalara felt her heart clench with both gratitude and anguish. Someone else had been mothering her children while she searched the galaxy for them. We need more information, she decided. I need to understand how they got here and what happened to them. Can you access their communication systems? Lieutenant Vex nodded and began working on his portable computer. Within minutes, he had tapped into the local human communication networks. I'm finding references to the girls in something called news reports from about 6 months ago. The team huddled around the small screen as Vex pulled up the information. The translation software worked quickly to convert the human text to their language. Local family rescues mysterious children found in woods, Vex read aloud. Sarah and Michael Chun discovered 2 unidentified children suffering from severe exposure and malnutrition in the Cascade Mountain forests. The children, who appear to be sisters, were unable to communicate and showed signs of extreme trauma. Zalara listened with growing amazement as Vex continued reading. The human couple, Sarah and Michael Chun, had found her daughters collapsed in the wilderness. They had rushed them to human medical facilities, stayed with them during their treatment, and eventually brought them home when no other family could be located. The Chun family has received temporary guardianship of the children, Vex continued, while authorities continue searching for their biological family. Sarah Chun, a nurse, and her husband Michael, a teacher, say they're committed to helping the girls heal from their trauma. Dr. Mira was studying medical data from the human hospital systems. Your Majesty, according to these records, when your daughters were found, they were severely dehydrated, malnourished, and suffering from exposure. They had numerous untreated injuries and showed signs of having survived in the wilderness for an extended period. But how did they get to this planet? Zalara asked. And why can't they speak? Kira and Nala were perfectly healthy when they disappeared. I'm detecting trace elements of Vortian technology in the area where they were found, reported Commander Thane, consulting his scanner readings. The Vortian are known to use memory suppression techniques on their prisoners. Zalara's blood ran cold. The Vortian were a brutal species that captured and enslaved beings from across the galaxy. If they had taken her daughters, subjected them to their horrible treatments, and then, somehow the girls had escaped. They don't remember, she whispered. My daughters don't remember who they are. They don't remember me. The weight of this realization hit her like a physical blow. She had found 3 days had passed since Queen Zalera first saw her daughters sleeping peacefully in the human home. 3 days of careful observation, of learning about the family that had taken them in, of struggling with the most difficult decision of her life. The Chun family followed a routine that impressed Zalera with its gentle consistency. Every morning, Sarah Chun would wake early and prepare soft foods that her daughters could easily digest. Michael Chun would set up educational materials at a low table, using pictures and simple objects to help the girls learn basic communication. Their human son, David, who was perhaps 10 years old in human terms, seemed to have appointed himself as the girls' protector and playmate. "They're teaching them to be human," Dr. Mira observed as they watched through their concealed scanners. "Look at how carefully they're introducing concepts like language, social behavior, even basic skills like eating with utensils." Zalera nodded, her heart aching as she watched Sarah patiently showing Nala how to hold a drinking cup. Her daughter's movements were slow and uncertain, but there was trust in her eyes as she looked at the human woman. Trust that Zalera realized her daughter no longer had for her own species. Commander Thane had been monitoring human communication networks, learning everything he could about the Chun family. "They have no criminal history," he reported. "Sarah Chun has been a medical professional for 15 years, specializing in trauma recovery. Michael Chun teaches children with learning disabilities. Their son David was adopted from an orphanage when he was 3 years old. So they have experience with damaged children," Zalera mused. "They know how to heal trauma." "There's more," Thane continued. "I've been tracking their financial records. They've spent over 30,000 units of human currency on medical care, therapy, and special equipment for your daughters. They've turned down multiple offers from their government to place the girls in institutional care facilities." And he paused, checking his notes. "Sarah Chun has requested extended leave from her work to focus on caring for them full-time." Dr. Mira looked up from her medical scanners. "The girls are definitely improving under their care. Brain scans show increased activity in areas associated with memory formation and emotional processing. Whatever trauma they suffered, it's slowly beginning to heal." Zalera felt a complex mix of gratitude and jealousy. These strangers were succeeding where she had failed. They were bringing her daughters back to life. As the sun set on their 3rd day of observation, something unexpected happened. Through their scanners, they watched as Kira suddenly sat up from her resting place, her eyes wide with what appeared to be a memory flash. She began making urgent sounds, trying to communicate something to Sarah Chun. "She's remembering something," Dr. Mira said excitedly, monitoring the brain scans. "There's massive neural activity in her memory centers." Kira was pointing at the window, toward the woods where Zalera and her team were hidden. She seemed agitated, almost panicked. Sarah Chun immediately moved to comfort her, but Kira pushed away, continuing to point and make distressed sounds. "She senses us," Thane realized. Even with memory suppression, Zephyrian children retain some instinctive awareness of their own species' presence. On the scanner, they could see the human family trying to understand what had upset Kira. Michael Chun moved to the window and looked out into the darkness, but, of course, he couldn't see through their cloaking technology. "What should we do?" Lieutenant Vex asked. "If she continues to sense our presence, it might cause psychological distress." Zalera watched her daughter's agitation with growing concern. Kira was clearly remembering something, some fragment of her past that connected to the presence of other Zephyrians. But the memory was causing her pain, not comfort. "We need to understand what she went through," Zalera decided. "Dr. Mira, can you do a detailed neurological scan from here? I need to know exactly what kind of trauma we're dealing with." Dr. Mira adjusted her equipment for a deep scan. The readings that came back made her face pale. "Your Majesty, this is worse than we thought. The memory suppression wasn't just random damage. It was surgically precise. Someone deliberately removed specific memories while leaving others intact." "What do you mean?" "She remembers pain. She remembers fear. She remembers being hurt by beings that look like us. But she doesn't remember safety, love, or home. The Vortian didn't just erase her memories, they edited them. They left her with only the trauma." Zalera felt sick. Her daughter's reaction to sensing other Zephyrians wasn't recognition, it was terror. To Kira, their presence meant danger. Inside the house, Sarah Chun had managed to calm Kira somewhat, but the girl remained alert and anxious. David, the human boy, had positioned himself between Kira and the window, as if ready to protect her from whatever threat she sensed. The human child understands, Thane observed. He's responding to her fear as if it were his own. Dr. Mira continued her scans. The same pattern is present in Nala, though less pronounced. The younger sister was either protected from the worst of it, or her natural resilience helped her cope better. How long would it take to reverse this kind of conditioning? Zalera asked. With our technology? Months, possibly years. And that's assuming we could do so without causing additional trauma. The human approach of gradual, gentle healing might actually be more effective in the long run. Zalera sank back against a tree, the weight of decision crushing down on her. She could reveal herself now, take her daughters back to their homeworld, and subject them to advanced medical procedures that might restore their memories. But the process would terrify them, and there was no guarantee of success. Or she could leave them here, in the care of humans who were slowly, patiently helping them heal, knowing she might never hold her children again. Your Majesty, Thane said gently, there might be a third option. What do you mean? We stay? We observe. We learn from these humans how to heal trauma in ways our advanced technology cannot. And when the time is right, when your daughters are stronger, we slowly introduce the concept that there are good Zephyrians in the universe. Dr. Mira nodded enthusiastically. The commander is right. We're approaching this like a medical problem, but it's really a psychological one. These humans understand something about healing that we don't. Over the next several hours, as the human family settled into sleep, Zalera's team expanded their observation to study every aspect of the Chun family's methods. They recorded the gentle tones used when speaking to the girls, the careful way physical affection was offered but never forced, the patient repetition of routine that created feelings of safety and predictability. Look at this, Dr. Mira pointed to her scanner readings. When Sarah Chun sings to them before sleep, both girls' stress hormones decrease significantly. It's not just emotional comfort. It's triggering actual biochemical healing. Lieutenant Vex had been studying human-child psychology through their communication networks. Humans have developed extensive knowledge about helping traumatized children. They call it attachment therapy, rebuilding the ability to trust and form emotional bonds. And these particular humans are experts at it, Thane added. Their adopted son David shows signs of having recovered from severe early trauma. They've done this before. As dawn approached, Zalera made her decision. We establish a permanent observation post. I want to learn everything these humans can teach us about healing psychological trauma. And I want to monitor my daughter's progress every day. And when they're ready? Dr. Mira asked. When they're ready, we'll find a way to gradually introduce them to the truth about their origins. But not until we're certain it won't destroy the progress they've made. Commander Thane activated his communication device. I'll contact the ship and arrange for a research team to join us. If we're going to do this properly, we need specialists in psychology, linguistics, and cultural anthropology. 2 weeks had passed since Queen Zalera established her hidden observation post near the Chun family home. In that time, she had watched her daughters make remarkable progress. Kira was beginning to use simple words in the human language, while Nala had started showing curiosity about the world around her instead of just fear. But today would bring revelations that changed everything. Dr. Yena, a Zephyrian psychologist who had joined the observation team, was monitoring the girl's brain activity when she noticed something unusual. Your Majesty, you need to see this. Nala is having what appears to be a lucid memory episode. Through their scanners, they could see inside the house where the Chun family was having their afternoon learning session. Nala was sitting at the low table with Sarah Chun, working with colored blocks, when she suddenly stopped. Her eyes took on a distant look, and she began making soft sounds that weren't in any human language. She's speaking Zephyrian, Zalera breathed. But that's impossible. Dr. Mira said their language centers were completely suppressed. Dr. Yena adjusted her neural scanner. The suppression is breaking down. Look at these readings. It's like watching a dam with cracks in it. The memories are starting to leak through. On screen, they watched as Nala continued making the soft Zephyrian sounds. She wasn't speaking words exactly, but The melody and rhythm were unmistakably from their homeworld. It was a lullaby that Zalera used to sing to both girls when they were very small. Sarah Chun was listening intently, recognizing that something significant was happening even if she couldn't understand what. She began humming along with Nala's melody, somehow instinctively matching the alien rhythm. The human is adapting to her, Dr. Yena observed with amazement. She's not trying to stop the episode or redirect Nala to human behavior. She's joining her in the memory. This approach was completely different from standard Zephyrian medical protocol, which would have involved immediate sedation and memory stabilization procedures. Instead, Sarah Chun simply sat with Nala, letting the memory flow naturally while providing emotional support. The episode lasted nearly 10 minutes. When it ended, Nala looked directly at Sarah Chun and spoke a single word in perfect Zephyrian, "Mama." Zalera felt her heart stop. Her daughter had just called the human woman mother in their own language. But instead of celebrating, Sarah Chun looked troubled. She immediately called for Michael and David to join them, speaking in rapid, urgent tones. Lieutenant Vex activated the translation systems. She's telling them that she thinks the girls might be remembering their real family. She's concerned that their biological parents might be looking for them. The humans are worried about us, Commander Thane realized. They think we might come to take the girls away from them. Through the scanner, they watched as the Chun family held an impromptu meeting. David, their adopted son, was particularly upset by the idea that Kira and Nala might be taken away. They're not just caregivers, Dr. Yeno observed. This human family has fully integrated your daughters into their emotional structure. Separating them now would traumatize the humans as well as the girls. Michael Chun was speaking now, his voice firm and protective. The translation came through clearly. I don't care if their real parents show up tomorrow. Kira and Nala are part of our family now. We'll fight to keep them if we have to. Zalera felt a complex surge of emotions. Part of her was angry that humans would dare claim her children. But a larger part was grateful that her daughters had found people willing to fight for them. Your Majesty, Dr. Yena said urgently, there's something else. I'm detecting unusual neural activity in both girls. The memory episode has triggered something. As they watched, Kira suddenly stood up and walked to the window facing the forest where the Zephyrian team was hidden. She pressed her hand against the glass and spoke a single word in their language, help. She knows we're here, Zalera whispered. She's asking for help, but she doesn't know who we are. The human family noticed Kira's behavior immediately. Sarah Chun approached carefully, speaking in soothing tones, but Kira remained focused on the window. She began tapping on the glass in a specific pattern, 3 short taps, 3 long taps, 3 short taps. That's a Zephyrian distress signal, Commander Thane said grimly. Somehow, she remembers the emergency codes. Dr. Yena's scanners were showing unprecedented activity. Both girls are experiencing massive memory breakthrough. The suppression is collapsing rapidly. This could be dangerous without proper medical support. On the monitor, they could see both Kira and Nala beginning to show signs of distress as fragmented memories flooded back without context. They were remembering pieces of their past, but without the framework to understand what the memories meant. We have to intervene, Dr. Mira said urgently. If the memory suppression collapses too quickly, it could cause permanent psychological damage. But Zalera was watching something else. Sarah Chun had positioned herself between the 2 girls, speaking to them in calm, steady tones. She couldn't understand their Zephyrian words, but she was responding to their emotional state with practiced skill. David, get the special blankets from their room, Sarah instructed her son. Michael, start the white noise machine. We've dealt with memory episodes before. The human family moved with coordinated efficiency. Within minutes, they had created a calm, safe environment designed to help traumatized children process difficult memories. David sat with Kira, not speaking but simply being present. Michael dimmed the lights to a soothing level. Sarah began humming the same lullaby melody that Nala had been singing. They have protocols for this, Dr. Yena said with amazement. These humans have developed their own methods for dealing with recovered memories in traumatized children. The Zephyrian medical team watched as the human family's approach gradually calmed both girls. Instead of fighting the returning memories, they were creating space for them to surface naturally. Instead of medical intervention, they were using emotional support. It's working, Dr. Mira reported. The girl's stress levels are decreasing. The memory integration is becoming more stable. But, as the episode continued, something unexpected happened. Kira suddenly spoke in Zephyrian again, but this time her words were clear and directed at the window. Mother, I know you're there. Please don't take us away from our new family. Zalera felt the world tilt around her. Her daughter had remembered her, but instead of calling for rescue, she was asking not to be taken away. She remembers you, but she's chosen them, Dr. Yena said gently. The bond with the human family has become stronger than her original family memories. Through the window, Kira continued speaking in Zephyrian. We were so hurt when you couldn't find us. But Sarah and Michael and David made us safe. Please let us stay safe. Zalera realized that her daughter's memories were returning, but filtered through their trauma. They remembered being lost, being hurt, being afraid. But they didn't remember being loved by their birth family because those memories had been surgically removed by their captors. All they knew for certain was that the Chun family had saved them. What do we do now? Commander Thane asked quietly. Before Zalera could answer, something remarkable happened. Sarah Chun had been listening to Kira's words in Zephyrian, obviously not understanding the language, but recognizing the emotional content. She walked to the window and placed her hand against the glass, directly opposite where Kira's hand was pressed. Then, she began to speak, clearly addressing whoever might be listening from outside. I don't know who you are or if you can understand me, but I want you to know that we love these children. We've watched them grow stronger and braver every day. If you're their family, if you've been looking for them, please know that they're safe here. Lieutenant Vex translated her words for the team. Sarah continued. I can see that they're remembering something about their past. If that past includes you, maybe we can find a way to share their future. They don't have to choose between families. They just need to know they're safe. Zalera stared at the human woman through the scanner display. Sarah Chun was offering to share her children with their biological family. She was suggesting cooperation instead of competition. She's proposing joint custody, Dr. Yena said in amazement. This human understands that forcibly separating the girls from either family would be traumatic. Inside the house, Michael Chun had joined his wife at the window. We know you're there, he said calmly. We've known someone has been watching the house for weeks. Our security cameras pick up movement patterns that don't match local wildlife. If you want to talk, we're willing to listen. David, their human son, stood up and walked to his parents. Kira and Nala are my sisters now, he said with the fierce protectiveness of childhood. But if they have other family who loves them too, maybe we can all be family together. The next morning brought an unprecedented decision. Queen Zalera stood before her portable mirror, adjusting her clothing for the most important meeting of her life. She had chosen to wear simple garments, nothing that would mark her as royalty or suggest military threat. Today, she would meet the humans not as a queen, but as a mother. Dr. Yena had spent the night developing a translation device that could handle the nuances of emotional communication between species. Commander Thane had programmed their cloaking technology to allow for a gradual reveal, so the humans wouldn't be startled by sudden appearance. The girls are awake, Dr. Mira reported from her scanner station. Their memory integration appears stable this morning. Sarah Chun is letting them eat breakfast at their own pace, in case the returned memories have affected their appetite. Through their surveillance, they could see the Chun family going through their morning routine with extra gentleness. It was clear that yesterday's memory episode had shaken everyone, but they were handling it with the same patient care they showed for everything else. David Chun was sitting close to both girls, apparently having appointed himself as their personal guardian. Every few minutes, he would ask them questions in simple words. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you want to play today? The human boy understands that his sisters are vulnerable right now, Dr. Yena observed. His protective instincts are actually helping them feel more secure as their memories return. Michael Chun was preparing what appeared to be educational materials, but Zalera noticed he had chosen items that focused on families, pictures of different types of family groups, including some that showed adopted children with multiple parent figures. He's preparing them for the possibility of having more family members, she realized. They're already thinking about how to integrate us into the children's lives. Sarah Chun was moving around the kitchen, but Zalera could see tension in her movements. The woman was clearly nervous about the potential meeting with the girl's biological family, but she was trying to hide her anxiety for the children's sake. Should we signal them somehow? Lieutenant Vex asked. Let them know we're ready to make contact? Before Zalera could answer, Kira solved the problem for them. The girl walked to the front door and opened it, stepping out onto the porch. She looked directly toward the forest where the Zephyrian team was hidden and spoke clearly in their language. We're ready to meet you now. She can sense our exact location, Commander Thane said with amazement. The return memories have restored some of her natural Zephyrian abilities. Nala appeared in the doorway behind her sister, staying close but showing curiosity rather than fear. Both girls were wearing simple human clothes, but they stood with the unconscious dignity that marked them as members of the royal family. The Chun family emerged onto the porch, clearly uncertain but supportive. Sarah Chun had positioned herself where she could quickly protect the girls if needed, while Michael Chun held what appeared to be a communication device, probably to call for human authorities if the situation became dangerous. Now or never, Zalera said quietly. She activated the gradual decloak sequence and stepped out from the tree line. The effect was remarkable. As the cloaking field faded, Zalera became visible to the human family. For a moment, everyone froze. The humans had known intellectually that they were dealing with non-human beings, but seeing an actual alien was clearly overwhelming. Kira and Nala, however, reacted differently. Both girls stepped forward, their faces showing recognition mixed with confusion. They remembered her, but the memories were fragmentary and complicated by trauma. Hello, Zalera said in English, her translation device converting her words. My name is Zalera. I believe you have been caring for my daughters. Sarah Chun found her voice first. You're their mother. It wasn't a question. I am. And I want to thank you for saving their lives. The simple acknowledgement seemed to break the tension. Michael Chun stepped forward slightly. How long have you been watching us? 2 weeks. I needed to understand how you've been helping them heal before I revealed myself. David Chun, with the directness of childhood, asked the question everyone was thinking. Are you going to take Kira and Nala away from us? Zalera looked at the boy who had protected her daughters with fierce loyalty. I don't know. What do you think would be best for them? The question clearly surprised all three humans. They had expected demands, not consultation. Kira stepped forward and spoke in careful English, words she had learned from her human family. We remember you now. But we also remember being scared and hurt. Sarah and Michael and David made us safe. We don't want to choose. Then, you don't have to choose, Zalera said gently. I came here to take you home. But watching you with this family has taught me something important. Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's the people who love you. Dr. Mira, Commander Thane, and the rest of the team emerged from concealment as their cloaking fields deactivated. The humans tensed at seeing more aliens, but Zalera raised her hand in a peaceful gesture. These are my friends. They helped me find you. They're also the ones who've been studying how your human family helped you heal. We've learned things from you that our advanced medicine couldn't achieve. Sarah Chun was staring at Kira and Nala with growing understanding. That's why they knew things they shouldn't know. Why they sometimes seem to understand concepts beyond their apparent development level. They're not human children. No, Zalera confirmed. They're Zephyrian, from a planet many light years away. They disappeared 3 years ago during a scouting mission and were captured by an enemy species that hurt them badly. She paused, choosing her words carefully for the children's sake. Their memories were damaged. They escaped somehow and ended up here, but they couldn't remember their home or their family. Michael Chun was processing this information with the practical mind of an educator. That explains the memory episodes. Their original memories are returning as they heal from trauma. Yes, and watching how you've helped them heal has taught us new ways to help our own people recover from similar injuries. Dr. Yena stepped forward and activated her own translation device. I'm a psychologist. The techniques you've used with the children, the patience, the emotional safety, the gradual building of trust, these are more effective than our medical procedures. We'd like to learn from you, Zalera continued. And, in return, We can help you understand more about their physical and psychological needs as they continue to heal. The humans exchanged glances, clearly communicating without words in the way that close families do. Finally, Saracen spoke. What exactly are you proposing? Shared custody, Zalera said, borrowing the human term. They can continue living here, where they feel safe, but also reconnect with their birth culture and family. We can provide medical care that's specific to their species, while you continue providing the emotional healing that's helped them so much. David Chun crossed his arms with determination beyond his years. And they stay our family too? Always, always, Zalera promised. If you'll have us, we'd like to become part of your extended family. Nala had been listening to the conversation with growing excitement. She suddenly ran to Sarah Chun and hugged her, then ran to Zalera and did the same. Two families, she exclaimed in English, then repeated it in Zephyrian for emphasis. Kira was more cautious, but she nodded slowly. Can we visit your world someday? When we're ready. When you're ready, Zalera agreed. There's no rush. Healing takes time. Commander Thane activated his communication device. Your Majesty, we're receiving a priority signal from the Royal Fleet. They're requesting an update on the mission status. The mention of a Royal Fleet clearly alarmed the humans. Michael Chin stepped protectively closer to his family. Royal Fleet. How many ships are we talking about? Zalera realized her mistake. I should have mentioned. I'm not just their mother. I'm also the queen of our people. When my daughters disappeared, I commanded the resources of our entire civilization to find them. You're a queen, Sarah Chun said slowly. And you're asking to share custody with a human family from a small Earth town. Yes, because being a queen means doing what's best for my people. And my daughters are my people. This arrangement, what you've taught us about healing trauma, this could help thousands of our citizens who've suffered similar injuries. Dr. Mira was monitoring both girls' vital signs. The stress levels are remarkably low considering the complexity of this situation. They feel safe with both families present. What about your people? Michael Chun asked practically. Are they going to accept this arrangement? They'll accept what I decide is best for my daughters, Zalera said firmly. And I'm hoping that once they see how effective your healing methods are, they'll want to learn from you as well. Lieutenant Vex looked up from his scanner. Your Majesty, the Royal Fleet is requesting permission to enter Earth's atmosphere for diplomatic contact. Saracen paled. Diplomatic contact with our government? That's huge. We can't just take two alien children and pretend this isn't happening. Michael Chin said thoughtfully. There will be questions. Investigations. The girl's safety could be compromised by too much attention. Zalera nodded. We've thought of that. We're prepared to work. 6 months had passed since the extraordinary first meeting between Queen Zalera and the Chin family. What had begun as a desperate search for lost children had evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history, the first successful interspecies family integration. The changes had been remarkable for everyone involved. The Chun family's modest home had been quietly expanded with Zephyrian technology that looked like normal human additions from the outside, but contained advanced medical and communication equipment inside. A small building in the backyard served as quarters for Dr. Yena and Dr. Mira, who had remained on Earth to continue their research into trauma healing methods. Sarah Chun had become something like a celebrity in Zephyrian medical circles, though she remained largely unaware of it. Her patient, intuitive approach to helping damaged children heal had been studied, documented, and was being implemented on planets across 3-star systems. She still saw herself simply as a mother caring for her daughters. Michael Chun had embraced his new role as an interspecies educator with enthusiasm. He had learned enough Zephyrian language to help the girls maintain their birth culture while growing up human. His classroom now included star charts alongside geography maps, and his students were fascinated by his stories of helping children learn to be comfortable in multiple worlds. David Chun had appointed himself as the official ambassador between human and Zephyrian children. He wore this responsibility with the seriousness of someone much older, but also with the joy of a boy who had gained not just 2 sisters, but an entire extended family among the stars. But the most remarkable changes had been in Kira and Nala themselves. Kira had grown into a confident young person who moved easily between languages, cultures, and even planets. She spent weekdays learning human subjects with Michael, while Sarah helped her practice emotional regulation techniques that worked for both species. Weekends often involved video calls with other young Zephyrians, sharing experiences and building friendships across light years. Nala had developed into a natural diplomat, charming both humans and Zephyrians with her ability to find common ground between very different ways of thinking. She had become particularly close to Commander Thane, who visited monthly and taught her traditional Zephyrian combat techniques adapted for peaceful purposes. Today marked a special milestone, the girls' first return visit to their homeworld. Queen Zalera stood in the garden behind the Chin home, watching as her daughters helped Sarah pack for the journey. Both girls had grown taller and stronger, but more importantly, they moved with confidence and joy instead of fear and uncertainty. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asked for the 10th time that morning. "It's a big step, being separated from them for 2 weeks." "They won't be separated from you," Zalera assured her. "The medical transport includes quarters for all the human family members. This is their first official visit home, but it's also your first visit as honored guests of the Zephyrian royal court." Michael emerged from the house, carrying David's carefully packed bag. The boy had insisted on bringing gifts for every Zephyrian they would meet, including hand-drawn pictures of Earth animals and a collection of human music. "The translation protocols are all set up," Dr. Mira reported, making final checks on the portable equipment that would allow seamless communication during their visit. "The girls can serve as interpreters if needed, but the automatic systems should handle most conversations." Dr. Yena was documenting everything with the methodical care of a researcher. "This visit will provide crucial data on how well the children maintain emotional stability during cultural transitions. If successful, it could establish a model for other interspecies families." Commander Thane arrived in a sleek transport vehicle that looked like an unusually advanced human automobile, but was actually a spacecraft capable of interstellar travel. "The Royal Medical Ship is in position," he announced. "We can depart whenever the family is ready." Kira and Nala ran to their human parents for goodbye hugs, even though they would be separated for only a few minutes during the journey to the orbiting ship. The gesture showed how completely they had integrated both families into their sense of security. "Remember what we practiced," Sarah said, giving each girl a special bracelet that would monitor their health and emotional state throughout the journey. "If you feel overwhelmed or scared, just touch this, and someone will help you immediately. And remember that you're representing Earth now," Michael added with a smile. "Show them how wonderful humans can be." David hugged his sisters fiercely. "Take pictures of everything. I want to see your real home." As they prepared to leave, Zalera felt a complex mix of emotions. She was excited to show her daughters their birth world and introduce them to their extended royal family. But she was also nervous about how they would react to being surrounded by pure Zephyrian culture after months of hybrid human-Zephyrian lifestyle. The journey to the orbiting medical ship took only minutes, but the transition to the larger vessel was a significant moment. The girls had been on Zephyrian ships before, but always for short medical visits. This would be their first extended stay in a purely Zephyrian environment. The ship's crew had been carefully selected for their experience with interspecies relations. Captain Mora, a veteran diplomat, greeted the human family with formal courtesy but genuine warmth. "Welcome aboard the Harmony," she said in fluent English. "We're honored to host this historic journey." The ship itself had been modified to accommodate human needs. The atmospheric composition, gravity, and lighting had all been adjusted to comfortable levels. Guest quarters had been furnished with items familiar to human children, including some of David's favorite books and games. "This is amazing," David breathed, pressing his face to the observation windows as Earth fell away below them. "We're actually going to another planet." Kira and Nala were experiencing something different. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, both girls suddenly straightened, their eyes widening with recognition. "I remember this feeling," Kira said in Zephyrian. "The way space feels when you're traveling between stars. It's like coming home and leaving home at the same time," Nala added, unconsciously switching to her birth language. Dr. Yena was monitoring their brain activity. "Fascinating. The FTL transition is triggering deep memory recalls. They're remembering their original journey from home, before they were captured. Sarah Chun noticed the change immediately. Are you okay? Do the memories hurt? No, Kira said, switching back to English. They're good memories. I remember being excited about exploring new worlds. I remember Mother teaching us about different stars and planets. I remember singing during the journey, Nala added. There's a traditional song about traveling between stars. Would you like to hear it? As the girls began singing in harmonious Zephyrian, the entire ship seemed to respond. The crew joined in, their voices blending in an ancient melody that spoke of adventure, discovery, and the joy of coming home. Michael Chun was recording everything on his portable device. This is incredible. We're witnessing the integration of recovered cultural memory with current experience. The 5-day journey to the Zephyrian homeworld passed quickly. The girls spent time with both families, sharing stories and teaching David basic Zephyrian phrases. They explored different sections of the ship, marveling at technology they were beginning to remember from their early childhood. But the most significant moment came when they first saw their homeworld through the ship's observation deck. Zephyria was a planet of stunning beauty, with purple oceans and silver continents covered in crystalline forests. 3 moons hung in the violet sky, and the capital city sprawled across an entire continent in graceful spires that seemed to grow from the land itself. Both girls were silent for a long moment, tears streaming down their faces. I remember, Kira whispered. I remember playing in the crystal gardens. I remember the sound of the wind through the spires. I remember the way the moons look from my bedroom window, Nala added. I remember feeling safe there. Zalera stood behind her daughters, her own eyes wet. You were safe there? And you will be safe there again. The landing ceremony had been carefully planned to avoid overwhelming the girls. Instead of the full royal protocol that would normally greet a queen's return, they were met by a small group of family members and friends. Zalera's sister, Princess Lyra, was the first to greet them. She had been especially close to the girls before their disappearance and had never stopped hoping for their return. Kira, Nala, she said softly in Zephyrian, then repeated in English for the human family's benefit. Welcome home. The girls approached hesitantly at first, then, with growing confidence as memory and emotion combined. Soon they were wrapped in familiar arms, surrounded by the sounds and sense of home. But what struck everyone present was how naturally they included their human family in every interaction. They introduced David as their brother, Sarah and Michael as their parents, and made sure everyone felt included in each conversation. Dr. Yenna was taking detailed notes. The cultural integration is remarkable. They're not choosing between identities. They're creating a new synthesis that includes both. Over the following days, the girls toured their homeland, revisited childhood haunts, and gradually reconnected with their royal heritage. But they did so as changed people, carrying the lessons of trauma and healing that their time with the Chun family had taught them. They visited the royal medical facilities where traditional methods were being combined with human psychological techniques. They met with young Zephyrians who were learning to speak English and curious about Earth culture. They participated in ceremonies that honored both their royal lineage and their human family bonds. On their final night, as the 3 moons rose over the crystal forests, the combined families sat together in the royal gardens. Kira and Nala moved easily between English and Zephyrian, translating jokes and stories that made everyone laugh despite the language barriers. You know what I think? David said, looking up at the alien stars with wonder. I think we're not just a human family or a Zephyrian family anymore. We're something new. What's that? Zalera asked. We're a galaxy family, he said with the absolute certainty of childhood. We belong to all the worlds now. As laughter echoed through the gardens under 3 moons, Zalera realized that her desperate search for lost daughters had led to something far greater than she had imagined. They hadn't just been reunited with their past, they had created a new future. The galaxy was vast and full of different species with different ways of living. But love, it seemed, was universal. And sometimes the greatest strength came not from choosing between worlds, but from learning to call multiple worlds home. The next morning would bring their return to Earth, where other changes awaited. The success of this visit would open doors for other interspecies families. The Chun home would become an unofficial embassy between worlds, and two girls who had been lost between stars would become bridges between civilizations. But for now, under alien stars and familiar love, they were simply a family celebrating being together again with your human authorities to establish legal guardianship arrangements that protect the children while allowing for cultural exchange. What does that mean exactly? David asked. Dr. Yena smiled at the boy. It means your sisters get to be both human and Zephyrian. They get the best of both worlds. Kira and Nala had been whispering together in a mixture of English and Zephyrian. Finally, Kira spoke up. We want to stay together. All of us. Human family and Zephyrian family. Is that possible? Zalera looked at the Chin family, who had given her daughters love and safety when she couldn't. She thought about her people, who needed to learn new ways of healing trauma. She considered her daughters, who deserved the chance to grow up knowing all parts of their heritage. Yes, she said finally. I think we can make that possible. It won't be easy, and it will require unprecedented cooperation between our species. But, for you too, I think we can make it work. As the morning sun climbed higher, two families from different worlds began planning a future together. It would be complicated, challenging, and completely unlike anything either species had attempted before. But, watching her daughters laugh as they played with their human brother, Zalera knew it would be worth every difficulty ahead. The simple wisdom of a human child cut through weeks of complex planning and anguish. Maybe the solution wasn't choosing between families. Maybe it was creating a larger family that could span species and worlds. Your Majesty, Commander Thane said carefully, I believe these humans are offering us an opportunity we never considered. Not to take your daughters back, but to become part of their healing process. Zalera looked at her daughters, safe and loved in the arms of strangers who had become family. Then, she looked at her loyal crew, who had followed her across the galaxy in search of two lost children. Signal the ship, she said finally. Tell them we're going to try something that's never been done before. We're going to attempt first contact not as conquerors, but as parents seeking what's best for their children. As night fell around the human dwelling, the stage was set for a meeting that would change the definition of family for both species. As the human household began to wake, Zalera positioned herself where she could see through the windows. Sarah Chun was already moving quietly around the kitchen, preparing the morning meal. Soon, Kira and Nala would wake to gentle voices, warm food, and the promise of another day of patient care. For now, that would have to be enough. Her daughters were alive, they were healing, and they were loved. As a queen, she had failed to protect them. As a mother, she could at least ensure their recovery continued. But, watching from the shadows, seeing other people parent her children, was the hardest thing she had ever done. Through the window, she saw Nala beginning to stir. The younger girl sat up slowly, looking around with the cautious alertness that still marked both children's behavior. But, when she saw Sarah Chun approaching with a warm smile and a cup of something that smelled pleasant, Nala's expression softened into something approaching happiness. Zalera touched the window glass gently, wishing she could reach through and comfort her daughter herself. Someday, she promised silently. Someday they would be a family again. But, today, she would continue to learn from the humans who had succeeded where she had failed. Her children, but they had no memory of their previous life. To them, she would be a complete stranger. Worse, she might be seen as another threat, another potential captor. Through the scanner, she watched as Kira stirred in her sleep. The girl made a soft sound, something between a whimper and a cry. Immediately, the human female was there, speaking in soothing tones, gently stroking her hair until she settled back into peaceful sleep. What are we going to do? Dr. Mira asked quietly. We can't just take them. In their current state, being forcibly removed from their safe environment could be traumatic. And these humans clearly care for them deeply, Thane added. They've invested months in helping the girls heal. They view them as family now. Zalera stared at the thermal images of her daughters, safe and warm in the arms of strangers who had shown them more kindness than their own people had been able to provide. The humans had done what she, with all her resources and technology, had failed to do. They had saved her children. We observe, she decided finally. We learn everything we can about these humans and how they've been caring for my daughters. And we figure out how to help Kira and Nala remember who they are without destroying the healing these good people have given them. As the night deepened around the human dwelling, Queen Zalaris settled in to watch over her children from afar, just as the human family watched over them from within. For the first time in 3 years, she knew exactly where her daughters were. They were alive, they were safe, and they were loved. But the hardest part of her journey was just beginning.